Okay guys, we're getting ready today to put down our hardy backer board for our floor job, for our tile floor in our kitchen project. As you watched earlier in the video, we had put down our aspenite, our half-inch, or what was this, Tom? This was half-inch aspenite, and now we're going to be putting down a 1/4-inch underlayment, which is called hardy backer board.
Good stuff.
Actually, you can see right here, we got one of our labels here. This is a Home Depot product, and you can see there it says Hardy Backer Easy Grid Cement Board. All right, this is what the tile's actually going to be thin setted, which is the compound we're going to use, thin setted down and set permanently to. All right, this is what the tile goes directly on top of. Not the plywood. You don't put plywood down and then put tile over. That is a definite no-no. It will crack up every time. You want to use this material right here. Now you can't just put this down and nail it down. This has to be set in a thin set compound. Okay, thin set is dries almost like concrete. It's the same exact thin set that we're going to use to set the tile with. Correct, Tom?
That's it.
So the adhesive that we use to put down tile, we put down a bed of that, and we set this hardy backer board in it as well, directly over top of the plywood. So that's what we're about to do here this morning. Now the way that we like to do it, before we mix up our thin set, before we get into all that mess, and you know, it's once you get going with that, you just want to keep going. You don't want to stop and start because it'll dry up. So what you want to do is pre-cut all of your hardy backer board first. So we're going to go ahead through here and pre-cut every piece of that hardy backer board the whole way around our kitchen area. And once we have that done, we'll lift it one piece up at a time and go ahead and start with our thin set compound.
Yep. Keep in mind when you're putting this stuff down, you have drywall seams, or you have seams in your plywood. Those are 4x8. Your hardy backer always comes in a 3x5 sheet. The reason they do that is so that you don't have this seam of our hardy backer board on one of their seams. You always want to try to cover their seams with the middle of the sheet. You never want to have their seam on the plywood seam. So depending on which way you're going to throw your sheet, I'm probably going to throw this sheet in here, notch this out 3.5 inches and slide it up. My next sheet I'll probably put this way, lengthwise.
All right, so they don't all have to run in the same direction.
No, matter of fact, you do. You want to stagger these seams also.
Okay.
So we're probably going to put, like I said, one this direction, one that direction. We'll probably put two this way. Then then we'll start switching these up a little bit.
And it doesn't. They don't have to do it like that at home.
Yeah. You don't want to put 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2 the whole way down the floor. If you are going to do that, you want to lay it like 5. You want to lay one here. You would lay one here in your next sheet. Start halfway in and stagger it. You just don't want 2 lines of these.
And why aren't we doing it that way? Why aren't we going to do it that way?
Well, we can do it that way and stagger them up and in. I got a perfect 8 foot though, so if I go 5 and 3, I don't have any waste on my sheet. Okay. So I'm going 5 and 3.
So we're going to do it that way so we save on material.
As long as we're not on these seams,
All right.
You can do it either way you want. I'm laying it down where my sheets are less wasteful. That's a good question.
Another question. Do we have to be concerned with the way that the floor joists are running, like when we put the plywood down?
This gets nailed into your 1-inch base.
All right.
Matter of fact, if you look here on your hardy backer board, very, very close. Very close. They should have, this one's not a good example. See, they have little round circles. That's where you actually nail this. I don't know if you can see them circles, Ed. Maybe another sheet will show it a little bit better.
It's really hard to see them with the camera.
Yeah, that one there. Another sheet might show it a little better.
But they are marked for nails. Well,
yeah, let's see if this sheet shows it a little better. Can you see it on this one?
I really can't see them.
How about on this one? You can see it good.
Point to one there. Let me pick
There's
up one there. Just keep your finger there.
And they're every 8 inches.
Right, so yeah, I can see it there. All right,
There,
so there you can see
one,
the circle. That's where they want you to nail.
3, yep, if you put your nails
Come
right
down a
inside
couple
there.
more inches, there's another one.
Yep,
right,
they're
so-
every 8 inches each direction.
All right, so those are our actual nailing
Yeah,
spots.
and they actually have an indent a little bit. That's where we're going to shoot our nails, but then we're actually going to go back and pound them in with a hammer.
So that they're lower than the
Yeah, so
surface.
they're low enough.
So they're innies, not
Yep.
outies.
Once again, I'm going 5 foot that direction. My next sheet, see, I'm only cutting 1 inch off my sheet now. See, I'm going to go 5, 3, 5, 3. That's the only reason I'm doing it this way.
Okay.
All right.
So it doesn't matter which way you run your hardy backer
just so
board.
you're not. If I go 3 foot this direction and I cut this back in, my next sheet's definitely going way over this seam. You just don't want to put your wood on those seams. However you got to lay it out.
So what you don't want to do, guys, is you don't want the edge of your sheet
to be on
on the seam of the plywood,
Yep.
because that way, if this ever shifts, if the house
Yep.
ever shifts a little bit, the two seams that are lined up, your tile's
Yep.
going to crack. So you want to make sure that you offset. Never lay your seam down for your hardy backer board directly over the
Yep.
seams of your plywood.
I mean, just to make sure that don't happen, a lot of guys will come in, put your first sheet over a seam, then your next two should fall into place. Oh, that doesn't even look like that's going to work on this one. But yeah, if you would, you can see I'd probably start another way of doing it. I could start that sheet there, then I know my next sheet's covering this seam. Because don't forget, you got a seam every 4 foot. And that's, however you got to lay this out, you just don't want these seams to be on those seams.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and start cutting this in here.
Yeah, well, like I said, let me get 1 or 2 laid down. We'll come right back, and then we'll show you how we're going to do this as far as actually doing it.
Now, how are you going to cut this?
All right, this here hardy backer board is nice because it actually comes. These lines right here, if you score that line with a razor knife, it'll actually snap right on that line.
Okay.
But I'm going to do it
so
a little
you can
bit
actually
different.
cut, score it, and crack it with
Yeah,
your razor knife?
they actually make a hardy backer knife too to do your scoring.
Okay.
But personally, I use a grinder. I use my grinding wheel and a vacuum. I'll grinder this direction, and then I score it on this closest line that puts me to where I can be. This stuff here, anything within 1 inch, you're good to go for on this stuff.
Okay.
Let me grab a tape and a pencil, and we'll show you one here right quick.
All right, so Tom's going to be using a grinder. Now, you don't have to use a grinder like this. We're going to use a grinder and a shop vac so we don't make a dust cloud.
Yep.
But you can also score this stuff with your razor knife,
Yep.
and it will snap.
Like this is saying I got to come in here 3.5. This mark right here's 3.5. But I'll come right back to this next line. That's close enough for hardy backer. And then that last little bit can be filled and taped with mud. So we're going to score on this line right here. Like I said, that's why they sell this stuff, because it kind of snaps good on them lines. You get a razor on. Alright, and then fire that up there. This is the easiest way of doing this. You don't want to breathe this dust. It says right on the board on the warning label that the dust from this sheet is known to cause cancer in California. We're in Pennsylvania. We don't worry about that because we're not in California.
That's right.
So, but I still wouldn't breathe it whenever possible. Put a tissue up your nose, wear a mask. They make it, feel that vacuum. They make it, you can put that on. They make it so, like I say, the other concrete board, is a little different. You almost got to cut it with a grinding wheel. It's a lot harder to cut. But this stuff here, supposedly now, if you get it cut one direction, you come in here and you hit that line, like just like drywall. Hit her once, twice, hit her hell 3 times. I don't know how good my knife is. I'll hit her 4 times. And then snap it. At least that's the theory behind it. Okay. That's why they make this. The way that they make it. Because it's less dust. It's easy cut and goes down nice. Okay. Like I say, that's close enough. You can have little edges.
You can see how our tolerance is there. We're about 1/4 of an inch away coming around there. That's okay because that's all going to fill with thin set and it's not going to affect the strength or the integrity of the tile floor.
Yeah, matter of fact, that's how it's going to look. This next sheet right here says I had to cut 1 inch off the edge. Basically, I could score with a razor knife to get rid of that inch. Honey, this was lengthwise. Okay. To be exact, 35. Yep. It's gonna come in here 1 inch. 1 inch.
So we're going to take 1 inch off and run it the opposite direction.
Yep, that's what I'm gonna do.
Magic finger.
Yeah, I'll get down here and give it a magic finger.
Close enough.
Yeah, matter of fact, that could even be 1.5 inches.
Now, these doesn't have to be perfect. Now this right now, the piece that we're going to put in there, this is all under cabinets completely. So we're never going to see any of this because there's going to be cabinets sitting from this wall here down to that wall. So all the tile floor that's going to be back in this area here in that recess is going to be under cabinets. So, all right, we're cutting outside to keep the dust down.
Well, I guess we'll.
In comes sheet number 2. Sheet number 2.
I still gotta notch it though.
Now there's all different types of floors you could put in your kitchen. I mean, you could be doing vinyl, you could be doing hardwood, you could be doing pergo. For my money though, I really like tile in the kitchen. It's a forever product. You know, if it's put in correctly, you'll never have any problems with it. The big thing with tile though is you're definitely going to want to seal your grout so that you know, if you do have a spill in the kitchen, like a glass of red wine or something that stains, that the tile doesn't get stained as well. So other than sealing your grout, I think that a tile floor is the best surface for a kitchen. But there is a right way and a wrong way to put it in. And we're showing you the right way. And we're letting Tom make all the dust he wants outside. Snaps it off. Done.
Good. It's the electro razor. I have an electric razor.
All right, you see he's just going to drop that right in there.
Back her up.
Right around our corner.
We got our seams. You can leave an 1/8 inch in between these seams if you want. That looks good to me.
That looks nice.
We'll work on down the line. Like I say, I could
Ready for another full one?
yeah.
All right.
The more you hide these seams, the better. But still, there's no real rhyme or reason to it.
Except you don't want to have a seam over a seam.
Yeah, and you don't want to have a continuous seam in this also.
All right, so that's the big thing you want to avoid when you're going over your plywood. Just make sure that your hardy backer board seams aren't lining up exactly with the plywood seams. Other than that, you can lay it any way you want.
Yeah.
It's getting dropped in a bed of thin set joint compound, which is just gonna turn
yeah.
this floor into concrete anyway, so it doesn't matter how you throw it in here. But the one thing that you do want to do is keep these seams away from the plywood seams. Other than that, you can go crazy with the stuff.
Yep, you can even piece this stuff together.
Now you're going to cut around that duct there and push it back in around
yeah,
it?
I'm going to leave a little bit of room to snap our next duct to it.
Okay.
That's all under a cabinet.
All right. All right, so Tom's cutting in the last couple little pieces here. And again, we're just dry fitting, which means we're not putting any thin set down yet. We're just making sure that our puzzle fits. We're going to put the whole puzzle together first and then go back and thin set each piece in one at a time and nail it down. Now we are going to be nailing this down. And we showed you the nail marks on the back of the hardy backer. Trying to find the gun here. There it is. Now we're using air equipment like we do on all of our jobs. Now you can rent this. This is called a roofing gun. Actually, is made to put coil nails down. Coil nails down. This one's made by Rigid. If you don't have one of these, you know, and you're just going to be doing one floor, you can go to a rented center and rent one of these. They run on a standard air compressor, which we got outside. And if you've seen other videos that we've made, you know that we're using a little Porter cable. It's called a pancake compressor, 150 PSI. All right, that's made by Porter Cable. We keep it outside because it's rather noisy. And it runs on a regular air hose. Tom, what size nails are we using in the coil nailers?
1.5 inches.
We're using 1.5 inch coiled nails. Now, do you have another box of those somewhere where I can show them a coil?
You can hand drive them in too with 1.5 inch roofing nails. If you do that, get the old galvanized ones with a barb on it. You can also screw this down. They actually have hardy backer screws if you want to go through the extent of screwing each one down.
Okay.
The roofing nail gun, like I said, being how we have the tools, the roofing nail gun is the quickest, fastest. That's what the coil nails look like if you own a roofing nail gun now.
Well, they could rent one for the day.
Oh, there you go. But this is the quickest, fastest way, especially if you have a number of sheets.
Yeah.
Right now we have 10 sheets.
10 sheets isn't all that much.
I know, and each sheet probably takes like 30 nails.
How many?
Probably about 30 nails a sheet.
So it's about
300 hand drives.
300 nails.
screws.
So you can either put 300 nails in by hand, and you can buy galvanized 1.5 inch roofing
in the
nails.
boxing, yep. Don't get the smooth aluminum. Get the old-fashioned. Get the barbed roofing nails. These are even barbed. Something that it'll stick down in. But keep in mind, you got thin set under. This actually adheres to the thin set. What you do, and it kind of like levels itself. We're going to mix our thin set up a little bit extra wet when we're putting this down. A little stiffer for when you're putting ceramic down. But this here, it kind of like level itself when we're putting the thin set down. 2 more pieces and we're going to be mixing up our thin set.
All right.
The whole purpose between...
So here's a lesson on spreading out your thin set. He's actually dumping a big puddle of it down on the floor here.
Yeah, so we're going to be using it all.
And with a 1/4 inch trowel. Tom, show them that trowel. Hold that up so they can see the notches on there.
That's a 1/4 inch notch.
They got 1/4 inch notches around 2 of the sides. All right, then the other 2 sides are smooth.
Those are butter sides if you want to butter. Whenever you're using this trowel, you want to stand up a bead. What I'm saying about standing up a bead is that's the beads that you're going for.
1/4 inch high.
It's a 1/4 inch high standing up. To achieve that, you hold your trowel at about a 30-degree angle. Maybe even a 45.
Just pull, and it leaves 1/4 inch ridges.
Yeah.
So we can watch him spread this out here. It'll leave what it needs to stand up a 1/4 inch bead. It'll drag the rest away.
Yeah.